WIBTA if I filed another noise complaint about my neighbor's very loud toddler? I am not the original poster. That is WIBTA Nibor. She posted in r, am I the asshole? Your fun fact to cover up spoilers. Another Florida man on this date. I chose March 16th since that's when OOP updated. On March 16th, 2021, a man was sentenced to 7 years in prison with a $300,000 fine. His crime? He was scamming businesses pretending to be a member of the musical group Wu-Tang Clan and using stolen credit cards. He used the cards and his supposed fame to buy, rent limousines, caterers and fancy hotels along with other friends who were also in on the scheme. Mood spoiler. Things work out for OOP. Less than. Original post. February 15th, 2023. I'm really torn about this. I, F33, work fully remote and am a bit of a homebody, so I am usually in my apartment most of the time. Either working or living my life as one does. Several months back we had a family move in across the hall from us with a little girl around 2 or 3 years old. They moved in over the course of 2 weeknights. So lots of banging and talking in the halls between 10-12 at night. So not a good first impression for both myself and my roommate. Over the months they've been here, their little one has proven to be extremely vocal. While working she will often scream bloody murder at the top of her lungs. Loud enough that it feels like she's standing directly in my apartment. I've had people on calls with me, while I'm wearing headphones, ask who is screeching in the background, and I have to apologize and state that it's my neighbor's child. Even at night I will hear her screaming all the way in my bedroom, which is the farthest room in my apartment from the front door. It's not so much, I'm scared, screaming. That would warrant a different call. Or, yay I'm a toddler having fun, screaming. It's more, I'm throwing a tantrum, screaming, and there are some days where it's near constant. I will be doing laundry on the bottom floor. We are on the top floor. And I can hear her all the way on the first floor just yelling and screaming clear as day. I have called and complained about them to our office. They also talk in the hallway to each other when they have visitors. And no carpet in the halls means it echoes and is loud. And I know multiple other neighbors of mine both on the same floor and downstairs have called with complaints too. Yesterday I had called in with a bad migraine, and even in my room with the door closed I could hear her going full air raid siren. Even until 10 p.m. and that just made my blood boil. It doesn't even sound like her parents try to get her to calm down. I've spoke to my friends with kids about this and they've told me to just keep it moving, because parenting is hard. I am an aunt to 2 spectacular kids, so I get it. But I don't think I should have to deal with an out-of-control toddler who screams all day and night. My neighbors already have 2 violations for excessive noise, and I believe one more could get them evicted. While the noise is definitely an issue they have been warned about multiple times by management. I should add that they don't speak English, or I would have talked to them myself. And interferes with both my work and downtime. I can't help but feel immensely guilty knowing I may get a little girl and her family evicted. But even as I write this post, she is banshee shrieking and has been on and off for close to a half hour. WIBTA if I filed another noise complaint, even though it may result in a family getting evicted? Relevant comments. The insulation here is actually pretty great. I've lived here for quite a while and this is the only issue that has ever really affected me. The woman next to me has a kid and I don't hear a peep out of them. Couple times I've heard him cry in the hall or splash around in the tub, and that's fine. It's faint and I can barely hear it. This is near constant screaming from across the hall to my place. About the parents. They're literally in the apartment all day too. Their car never moves from their parking space. And right now it's winter, so going outside probably wouldn't be too nice since it's so cold. But they never leave, and I think her having a place to run around and play would help a ton. This isn't Section 8 housing though. And the husband works. The wife stays at home in the apartment all day with the kid. And I don't want to break my lease as I have a roommate to consider, and it's $1,000 to break it. Working at a friend's is a no-go as I deal in very confidential information and either have to work from home or the office. And as I have a chronic pain condition that can flare up randomly, I feel better physically and mentally working from home. Also, I've lived here 8 years. They've been here about 4 months. If anyone should move, it's them. Sorry if that sounds harsh, but this is my home. Talk to them about it. They don't speak English. I tried to say hi and strike up a conversation when they first moved in, and they just shook their head and said, "No English." Oop is voted NTA. Though many of the first comments were pretty brutal about their YTA votes. Edit. Same post. February 16, 2023. Next day. Just making an edit to answer some questions I've been seeing asked repeatedly on here. Noise-canceling headphones aren't always an option for me. My job requires I make calls, and I can't make and take calls with earplugs in. Also, I've had people tell me they can hear her over said headphones. Which is embarrassing. My office space is in an open area, so I can't really noise-proof my home office. It costs $1,000 to break my lease, and I have a roommate to consider. I've also been in my apartment for 8 years, and they've only been here for 45 months. The only thing getting broken around here are eardrums and my patience. I have no clue if she's on the spectrum or not, or if she has a disability. I don't suspect abuse and have not called CPS. However, a wellness check may be in order. I cannot move my home office, nor can I work at a friend's house, as I work in a department that works in confidential information. So I need to be at home or at the office. I also suffer from chronic pain, so WFH is easier on me mentally and physically. Also, in my post when I said, "I'm an aunt," I get it. I mean that I understand kids can be loud. I get it to a fault. Not completely, as I'm not a parent. But I understand. Thank you very much for all the feedback that has been given so far. I really appreciate it. Update post. March 16, 2023. 1 month later. Hello again. It's been about a month since my original post, and I thought I'd provide an update. Before I get into it, I just wanted to thank you all for reading my original post and offering your opinion on the matter, whether it was making me tall or not. However, to those who told me to pay the $1,000 lease breaking fee or buy a house, I take PayPal, Cash App, and Venmo. So to cut right to it, I ended up filing another noise complaint against the neighbors across the hall after a particularly bad tantrum that involved not only screaming and crying, but banging against their front door as well. It lasted from 6:30 p.m. to roughly 10 p.m. And I managed to get a small snippet on video to show the office staff. The next day I went to the leasing office and showed the manager the video from the night prior. Needless to say, she was appalled and apologized profusely, stating she didn't realize they were being that loud on a daily basis. She had me fill out another written complaint and said that they would be sending out a final warning, meaning that if they didn't get their act together in a week, they would be served a 30-day eviction notice. While I filled out another written complaint, she explained to me that the family was Indian and confirmed that neither the husband or wife spoke English, though the wife could understand a bit. She also said that every time they came to the office, the little girl would run around screaming and jumping on furniture while the mom ignored her behavior. Even when they went to sign the lease, she said they brought at least 8 other people and their kids with them, and these kids would also run around screaming and jumping on the furniture. I know it was suggested she could be on the spectrum or have a disability. But since other kids were behaving like this, I think it's more learned behavior. After the warning was sent out, it was quiet. Too quiet. I noticed their carport was empty as well as their other car. And it wasn't until the other day when I was coming up the stairs after doing laundry that I saw an older gentleman leaving the apartment. I smiled and gave a polite nod and managed to see that their apartment was completely empty. No furniture. No nothing. It seems like they abandoned the place as eviction. From what the office staff told me, wouldn't be that quick. So that's my update. It looks like instead of taking the 7-day warning, they just abandoned their lease instead. They always had visitors, so I think they have a very supportive community around them and probably moved in with friends. While the situation overall sucks, I'm glad that it didn't come to eviction. Thanks again to all of you. And I hope your day is full of awesome. TLDR put in another complaint after another 4-hour tantrum. Neighbors chose to abandon their lease instead of quiet down after a final warning. Relevant comment. People called her racist for including their ethnicity because it's Reddit. I added it because in my original post I expressed that there was a language barrier, which is why I didn't talk to them about the noise issue. I tried and very quickly realized they couldn't understand me. I also added it as I wanted to see if there was a cultural disconnect between what they're used to and what we live with in the US. No ill intentions by mentioning their ethnic background, just seeking out understanding of a potential culture difference. I'm concerned about that little girl's vocal cords with all that screaming tears of joy. No, but for real, I would have lost it at the point where people were asking me who was screaming in the background of my work calls. That could cost her her job. Oof, constantly screaming toddlers in apartments. Never a good combo. Glad Oop recorded it and the manager acted immediately after. If you can hear a kid splashing in the bath, I think your insulation is not awesome. When you have demon children running around, being completely ignored by their parents, chances are it isn't a spectrum thing. It's a learned thing. Kids are persistent little creatures, and they learn really quickly that freaking out will eventually get them some attention if they buckle down for long enough. I have a baby and I live in an apartment complex. His crying and squealing can be very loud at odd hours. I feel guilty about the noise I can't control, and we have apologized to our neighbors preemptively. With the amount of screaming this toddler does, I'd be so mortified if it were my child that I'd just evict myself. So they flee so they wouldn't have an eviction on their record and could dupe another landlord into accepting them and their nightmare toddler. I don't know many Indian people in real life, but based on what is shown in videos and the limited real-life knowledge I have, that's just that family, not a cultural thing. Yikes. I had Indian neighbors when I lived in one of my old apartments. Very sweet family. But yeah, they were loud. They got a handful of noise complaints, mostly by the very crabby old windbags with a superiority complex, because their kids slammed doors, yell-talked, and ran around a lot. The mother spoke to me about how different it was in the US and the struggles the family was having adjusting to how quiet and reserved people are. However, they were trying, and their kids honestly weren't all that bad once you got used to them making some noise every now and then. They were late elementary, middle school aged. So I'm grateful I didn't have the toddler tantrums going on. As a parent, I get how toddlers can be obnoxious. But Oop definitely had a bigger problem on their hands with an energetic child that was pretty much trapped and ignored in a smaller space. Hopefully, the family moved near a park or something because that poor toddler needed an outlet. Sounds like my neighbors above me. They have 2 toddlers and they like to scream bloody murder, run up and down the hallway, drop things, etc. from about 6 o'clock 20.00, or whenever they go to bed. Even the parents themselves are loud. I don't know how many times I've had to call and complain about them. The office staff are useless because all they do is say we can't do anything unless we hear them. I'm tempted to set up a phone just to record the amount of noise they make. I have traveled to many countries and there are some where the kids just run and act like animals. And the parents totally ignore it and would get upset if anyone asked them to keep their kids from running around in restaurants. Middle East kids were the worst in airports. We just made sure to get lounge passes to avoid them. A few made it into the lounges, but the staff made them stay with parents. Yikes. I have 2 nightmare toddlers and am shocked every day that the police haven't been called because one, when upset, goes to instant blood curdling, I'm being tortured, scream crying, while the other cries for hours, sometimes screaming peppered in while banging and stomping around. I live in an apartment and am beyond thankful no one has complained yet. Was Indian, I knew it. Oops, sounds like a Karen. Good riddance. I've lived in apartments and can confirm you can hear everything. It sticks so much, especially if you suffer from migraines. Oof, this one hit a little too close to home. My husband, toddler, and I just moved overseas to a country where we don't yet speak the language well. The first week in our new place, our toddler got really sick and was screaming pretty consistently at nights, even when we were literally in her room holding her. We had a neighbor come bang on our door in the middle of the night, upset at the noise. And we've had a few uncomfortable interactions with them since then. I don't want our neighbors to have to deal with a ton of noise. But I don't want to feel like I'm walking on eggshells in my own home either. I don't think we're these people. We do spend most of the day out of the house. And when she isn't sick, she typically sleeps through the night, but she does get up pretty early. And sometimes toddlers are going to have tantrums. The thing about noise is you never truly understand how bad it is unless you are experiencing it. The effect that a living condition like this has on a person is actually physiological to a degree. And it is not good. To say the least, there is a reason noise is used as a torture device. Harmful noise can cause sleep deprivation, trigger fight or flight, and force psychological states, among other things. Outsiders looking in on a situation like this often don't understand because to them it comes off as though the person who is complaining feels entitled to silence or just hates noisy kids. But what they don't understand is that this is literally a biologically unlivable condition. Sadly, most people don't understand this until they hear or live with the noise themselves.
If you enjoyed this video, please check out our playlists full of similar content. WIBTA is like doom scrolling for your ears. Please like, share, and subscribe.